Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and this is Raspberry Reads. I'm doing part 2 of my winter reads wrap up. So, and I can link the first video below for you, but I reviewed the first 10 books that I read over the winter months in that previous video, and now I'm getting to the second half of them today. So let's just pick up where I left off. Book number 11 was The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. I had purchased this book when I went to Foyles on a London trip, and I can link that vlog video for you below as well. And I was really optimistic that I was going to like The Familiar because it just sounded like a really interesting premise, and I love historical fiction. But I actually give it 3 stars, and I should say this was a February read. So this book is about Luzia Cortado, who's a scullery maid who lives in sort of a, not merchant class, but middling class household who are struggling financially. And she has a hard life, but she performs small miracles. So basically by that, it's little magic tricks to kind of help her out, to make her life a little bit easier as a maid. Then she ends up becoming involved in this magic competition, or miracles competition, which had something to do with gaining favors at the court. This was set in Spain during the Spanish Inquisition, and so there was a lot of concerns about the crossover between miracles and being sort of performed on behalf of the king for God versus heresy and witchcraft, if that makes sense. And I just didn't really get it. I didn't follow the book very well. I read it in hard copy. I didn't follow the book. I didn't really like Leigh Bardugo's writing style. I found it a bit disappointing and boring at times. There were some romances which were really odd, and I should say I'm not the only person to notice this. If you go and read some reviews on Goodreads, you can see that there are a lot of other people who feel the same way about me, as me about this book. So yeah, it was a bit of a miss for me, and I'm really disappointed in it. And yeah, as you could tell, I'm still really let down by that book. I ended up selling my copy because I wasn't going to read it again, and I wasn't going to recommend it to anybody. So yeah, The Familiar was a big old miss for me. But moving on, so book number 12 was Hagstone. And this was by Sinead Gleeson, and I listened to it on audiobook. I will put all of the details about Narrators in the description for you. This was also a February read, and I gave it 3 stars. And this was just a weird old book. My partner Lucy had read it. She said it was good, but also weird, and I completely agree with that. It's sort of like, you're just like, what is going on? But it's about a woman named Nell who is an artist, and she lives on this remote island. I'm not entirely sure where the island is. I think it's maybe somewhere near Ireland or Scotland, or yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it is. And there's also this commune, sort of like a nunnery of the Indians, who live a very sort of self-sustaining lifestyle, and this group of women, the Indians, commission Nell, the artist, to do a piece of work for them. On top of that, there are some romance elements, and there's also supernatural elements. So the whole premise of this book is that there's this really unsettling noise that happens periodically around the island. And yeah, it was just weird. I didn't really understand the book, but I kind of enjoyed the ride. So I didn't love it and I didn't hate it. So I just gave it 3 stars. If you can get a hold of the audiobook, I suppose it's worth trying to see if Sinead Gleeson's writing works for you. Next up, number 13 was The Trees by Percival Everett. So after reading James, which was one of the best books I think I've ever read, I wanted to read something from Percival Everett's backlist, so I picked up The Trees as an audiobook. This was also in February, and again, this was a 3-star read. So this book had so much promise. It started out really creatively. I was totally hooked. It's set in the South, in America, and there are some murders. And so it's this weird sort of like detective novel. But at the same time, it was a social commentary on hangings and well, lynchings rather, I should say, lynchings, and sort of the American South mistreatment of Black people. So, yeah, I just found that I started off enjoying the book, and then the historical commentaries on the lynching mixed with the murder mysteries just didn't quite work. What I did like was the kind of characterizations or satire of some of the characters. It was very stereotypical, like stereotypical white racist community, and you have 2 Black cops coming in to do the investigation. But yeah, the ending was weird and I didn't really get it. And the one thing that I would say is if you do decide to read this, I do not recommend the audiobook because there are 2 chapters which I feel were really important to the message that Percival Everett was trying to get across about the history of lynchings in the US. One of the chapters was a list of names of people who've been lynched, and the other chapter was locations of the lynchings. And the narrator just read it out verbatim. And so, I timed one of the chapters and it was 5 minutes of listening to place names or 5 minutes listening to people's names. And that is important, but it doesn't work well as an audiobook. I lost focus really quickly. And I found it was quite distracting. So I would recommend trying this book, but I would definitely recommend James over The Trees. Yeah, so if you've read any of these, feel free to chime in the comments below as well. Okay, moving on. Number 14, Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Oh my goodness, this book. I mean, I know that lots of people have said that this is one of their favorite books of last year. A lot of people on booktube read it, and many people have said it's one of their favorite books of all time. I would completely agree. I gave it 5 stars. Also read this in February. This book was just so cool. It was such a wild ride. It was a mystery within a mystery within a mystery, and I was completely gripped. I read this as an ebook, which did work well. I don't know if this would work well as an audiobook. Yeah, undecided on that one. But it was so gripping, so gripping that I was just desperate to figure out what the answers were. And my partner Lucy had already read it. And I kept saying to her, I was like, oh, is this the answer? Is this what it is? Is this what it is? And I kept not quite getting it. And then when I finally did, I felt this like deep satisfaction that I'd figured it out. But I didn't figure out the whole thing until the very end. And it was just, it was a really cool idea. You've probably heard a lot of people talking about this book, but not telling you what it's about. And that's for a good reason. You can't really give much away about this book other than Piranesi is the main character. He is in a house that's like a labyrinth, and there's another person called the Other, and Piranesi is basically just trying to figure out the truth about his world. And yeah, it was a great story, wonderful writing. I definitely want to read more by Susanna Clarke, and I'm sad in the sense that I've read it now and I know what happens, and I'll never get to experience that again of trying to unpick the mystery. So yeah, I couldn't praise it more. Okay, number 15, Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. And I listened to this as an audiobook. I gave it 4 stars. So it was a really good idea, very clever. I read All the Light You Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, and I do like his writing, which is why I picked this up. And again, I enjoyed the sophistication of his writing. This is multiple perspectives, multiple time periods. So I really had to focus because I was listening to it as an audiobook. And I think in that sense, I probably would have fared a bit better. I would have found it easier to read it in print because Anthony Doerr was trying to do a lot with this book. And unlike most books where I kind of go in blind, not even reading the synopsis, I think this book, if you're going to read it, you would benefit from reading the synopsis to kind of consolidate in your mind all of the different perspectives and how they all fit together. Otherwise, you'll kind of get lost. And this book is historical fiction, and it's about an ancient text, ancient Greek text. Yes, I think ancient Greek. And how that text worked across time from the medieval period, something about Alexander the Great as well, a modern period and a future period. And I liked all of the time, different time perspectives, timelines. I liked a lot of the characters. And yeah, it was just a really thought-provoking book. So I'm glad I read it. And if you like historical fiction that's a little bit of a challenge, quite chunky, with multiple perspectives, multiple timelines, you will probably enjoy this book. All right, number 16 was Opal by Patricia Wolfe, and this was the 3rd installment of the D.S. Walker series. The first book was called Outback, which I enjoyed the most, and then Paradise, which was set on the Gold Coast, was the second one. And then this one is again set in the Outback, but a different area, and it's all based on the opal mining industry. And there was basically a murder, and there's also, well, the main characters find themselves sort of stuck in the town for a reason I don't really want to spoil. And so it's a bit of a mystery that they find themselves there trying to solve. And I found it to be a bit of a dud. I think I figured out the ending quite quickly. And it was a little bit the plot twist was predictable. So yeah, not Patricia Wolfe's best work, but I do enjoy the series for what it is, which is just sort of a, you know, it's not easy, but because yeah, there's some very serious topics in it, but it's easy to read. Let's put it that way. Detective series. Okay, number 17. The Glassmaker by Tracy Chevalier. I read some fantastic books this winter. This one, 5 stars. So I've been wanting to read this book since it came out last year, late last year. And I was going to pick up a copy. And then for whatever reason, my library acquired over 100 copies of this audiobook. And I just popped up on my feed and I was like, oh, okay, I will, yes, please, I will read this. I enjoyed it. I really did. 5 stars. I did really enjoy the audiobook because they covered in, I think there were accents, but they covered Italian language and Italian words really well, something that I would have sort of stumbled over if I was reading. So I appreciated having somebody speak the words how they're actually meant to be spoken in my ear. And it was a really fascinating history of Venice. Murano is the island next to Venice that is famous for its glassmaking history. And it was a really interesting family history about glassmaking. That there's a bizarre plot point in the sense of a timeline. This isn't spoiling it because it is in the blurb, but basically the book goes from the Renaissance period all the way through to the pandemic, 2020. But it focuses on the same family, so it's almost like they're aging very, very slowly to be able to be juxtaposed within each, the passages of time and different historical periods that Venice goes through. And I found that really interesting. It didn't quite work all the time, but I did like it. It was just a really enjoyable book, really interesting. I liked the writing. I always find Tracy Chevalier's writing and ideas captivating. So yeah, I know I heard it's got some mixed feedback on this book, specifically on my channel and some comments, and I just don't really understand why people wouldn't like it, because I thought it was a really good book. So my personal view is I would very much recommend this book, just like I would recommend all of Tracy Chevalier's work. Okay, next up we have Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, was book 18. I read this for my book club, and this was a weird book. I mean, it's a modern classic. It was really interesting to read the introduction. So this book was written in 1931 and published in 1932. And then the introduction was written just after the Second World War, where nuclear atom bombs, nuclear energy is coming into play. So it's interesting to read Aldous Huxley reflecting on his own work and then putting it into a new context. But yeah, this is a dystopian book where it sort of imagines how life would be like if you lived in a utopia where you didn't have to worry about emotions. So there's a big theme about taking soma, which is kind of like an opioid or a psychedelic, to kind of just space out. There's a lot about just enjoying sort of physical pleasure. The whole world is set up so that people have there's a caste system, and people have their specific places. Yeah, it explored a lot of really cool themes. The very beginning of the book I found quite shocking. I was like, ugh, how am I going to get on with this? But I did enjoy it. And we had a really good discussion for my book club. So I think it is a good book to read. One of my colleagues said that it's actually on the GCSE curriculum, which I can see why that's the case. Yeah, I don't think I'll read anything more by Aldous Huxley, because it wasn't, even though I really like dystopian, I found this one a little bit too unsettling. Out of similar books of the time period, like Animal Farm, 1984, that type of thing. I prefer 1984 the best, or the most rather, but I do appreciate, if I just think about Aldous Huxley writing this in 1931 and the response he would have got in that time period, when I still find it unsettling. I find that quite pleasing that he would have been so provocative. Yeah, so that was Brave New World. And then the last book I read, which I haven't written any notes on, was Walk the Blue Fields by Clarke Keegan. And this was a collection of short stories. And I don't remember anything about this book. I listened to it on audiobook. I was really tired. I kept falling asleep listening to it. There was one that had a family dog, or the girl was given a family dog and then it didn't actually belong to her. I seem to remember that one. But yeah, overall, I can't remember a single short story in this. And I think I've come to the conclusion that I don't like short stories. I need a longer narrative to remind myself of what's going on. And I think that's partly because I read so many books at the same time. I've got so many on the go that you know, if I'm listening to something for 5 minutes and then it changes to a completely different topic, I'm not going to remember. I haven't even given this one a star rating. 3 stars, I guess. Yeah, I do enjoy Claire Keegan's writing style. I still enjoyed her writing style in this book, but short stories are just not for me. So I think that is all of the books that I've read. I have a feeling I finished one more thinking about it. To pause the video because it was really bugging me that I knew I had finished another book just at the very end of March and I couldn't remember what it was. And it was The Bonesetter's Daughter by Amy Tan. Amy Tan wrote The Joy Luck Club. It's a book that I've absolutely loved. I read it in high school. And I'm really glad I listened to The Bonesetter's Daughter because it was a fantastic book. It is set in 2 time periods. It is about mother-daughter relationship of a Chinese-American family. And they are based in San Francisco. And the mother is having some health problems with possibly dementia. And so you have the first perspective of the daughter and her growing up in San Francisco, having a Chinese mother who, you know, the struggles they have as her being raised as a single child by a single parent. And just the difficulties that they go through. It was really fascinating. And it was fascinating then to get the second perspective of the mother who can't remember. She's starting to lose her memory, but then there's all these kind of family secrets about her origins. And so it goes back in time to being in China and her experience as a child. And yeah, it was just a wonderful book. I listened to it on audiobook. I will put the narrators below. It was wonderful to listen to as an audiobook. I think it just was a really enriching experience, more so than if I had read it myself. And I appreciated the delicacy and compassion that went into navigating some really difficult topics, like mental health and identity, family dynamics, that sort of thing. It was a really powerful book in that sense. And yeah, I can't think of what else Amy Tan has written, but if she has written more than just those 2 books, I will certainly pick up more from her because I really enjoy how she writes and what she writes about. So yeah, that one would have been a 5-star book, 4 or 5 stars, I can't remember, but yeah, definitely up there with one of the best books I've read so far this year. So yeah, that is that was book 20. So yes, I read 20 books from the end of December through to the end of March. And as I mentioned in the first part of this video, part 1 of this series, that going forwards I'm going to try and do monthly wrap-ups again because I found this quite challenging to try and wrap up so many brilliant books as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So yeah, if you have read any of those books, then please let me know down below. What did you read the past few months? Do you have any 5-star reads that you'd like to suggest to me? I'm always keen to add to my TBR. And I'd love to know what you're reading right now. Maybe just pop that in the comment as well. I've got lots of books on the go, but currently I am really enjoying reading Dust by Hugh Howey, and I'm listening to The Maiden. The author escapes me, but that was a recommendation from Ellen at Ellen May Book Club, and Ellen, I have enjoyed that book so far. So yeah, that just leaves me to say I hope you're all doing really well. I hope you're enjoying whatever it is you're reading, and I will see you soon in a new video. Okay, take care.